Today's episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast is proudly presented by Confidence Fitness. If there's one thing in life that we have at least a little control over, it's our health. What we decide to eat and how much we decide to move our bodies. That's why I'm excited about this exclusive offer for you, just for listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast. Confidence Fitness is offering a 2-week jumpstart program for just $99. It includes 6 small group personal training sessions, so you can start building strength and muscle. You'll also receive their food and mood journal to get you thinking about what foods to eat and how they impact your body and mind. And you'll also get an in-body scan to measure your current body composition. All you have to do is go to lifeinattleboro.com and you'll see the link right there on our homepage. I'll also include the link in the show notes of this episode. Confidence Fitness is located at 453 South Main Street. Confidence Fitness. Strength for life, strength for sports. And now, on to the show. You are listening to the Life in Attleboro podcast, where we interview the city's most interesting people who are making a positive difference in our community. Today's episode is all about the man who started one of Attleboro's most popular spots in the downtown district. I'm talking about Burgundian. Owner Shane Matlock got the inspiration while serving our country abroad. Enjoy episode 33 of the Life in Attleboro podcast. All right, joining me now is Shane Matlock. He is the owner of Burgundian, a popular cafe and restaurant located at 55 Park Street in downtown Attleboro. Shane, thank you so much for being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
My pleasure, Mike. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So first question is an easy one. How long have you owned Burgundian?
So I've owned Burgundian since 2017. It started as we used to set up just doing cold brew and hot coffee at the rec league soccer at Dodgeville, Tilda B. Stone soccer fields
absolutely.
in Attleboro. And then we started selling waffles at the Attleboro Farmers Market in 2017, a little pop-up tent. And then I added a food truck in 2019. And then I opened up my first brick and mortar restaurant in downtown Attleboro in 2021, November 2021.
Congratulations. So you kind of worked your way up as you saw success. Is that how that path was kind of created, or did
Definitely.
you have this grand plan? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did have the grand plan. I had always wanted a brick and mortar, and I've got some grand plans moving forward as well with that. But I really decided to bootstrap it. I got out of the military and things, and I realized I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know the restaurant industry or anything. So I decided to really start small, figure out how to build a customer base, and then I just kind of added to that rather than just going full bore into a restaurant right at the start.
So is this your first restaurant?
This is my first brick and mortar restaurant. Yep.
Okay. So when did you first become interested in owning your own restaurant cafe?
Yeah, so whenever I was in high school, I worked at a coffee shop my senior year, and I loved it. Was right by college. It wasn't a huge town, but probably 50,000 in Idaho where I grew up, but it was really kind of the epicenter of where community seemed to happen in the town. I remember people coming in from the city taking census. I remember, moms would come in the morning with their babies and they would sit and talk, and people would be on dates, and community happened there. And it was so much fun. I'm a very, social guy in that aspect. And I love just the dynamic piece that it offered beyond just a product of coffee or that. So I pretty much, when I was 17, I said, I want to open up a coffee shop. Everything else that I have right now is it's evolved since then, but I've always wanted to be in the industry.
Excellent. You set a goal and you have achieved it, sir. So
yes.
we are speaking virtually face to face for our listeners. And Shane, behind your shoulder, I see the American flag.
Yes.
You are a veteran who served our country for 15 years, a retired U.S. Army officer. Thank you so much for your service, sir. I understand you served all across the world. Where did your military service take you?
Yeah, so I started off in college. I had never wanted to or thought about joining the military. I was always very pro-military. My grandfather was in World War II. My father was a state trooper in Idaho. But, I had other plans, and then 9/11 happened. I decided to join ROTC, and so I did that for a few years and became a logistics officer. And so I found myself, I was in Virginia a couple times, stationed in Virginia. I was stationed in upstate New York at this place called Fort Drum. It's where the 10th Mountain Division is. It's the most deployed division in the military since 9/11. They were the first actual division to go over to Afghanistan and just cycle through. So I was there for a few years. That included a 1 year tour to Afghanistan. I was part of an aviation unit, believe it or not. So I done a lot with Black Hawks and
Oh,
Apaches
wow.
and things like that. And so I got to actually ride in a helicopter all over Afghanistan quite a bit.
Wow.
And then from there, went back to Virginia, and then I got a great opportunity to go be, I made captain and was able to go be a part of a NATO unit in France.
Wow.
So, in the 60s, Charles de Gaulle kicked all of the military out. Anybody after World War II, he kicked all the foreign, the other militaries outside of France. And in 2007, Nicolas Sarkozy, the president of France at the time, he brought military and NATO back into the country of France, and so I was one of 9 Americans that was able to come over and be part of a small unit. It was 450 people, a peacetime corps level headquarters. It was made up of 14 different NATO nations. So my boss was Bulgarian, and his boss was French, and his boss was German, and his boss was English. It was just there were so many people there, and it was really eclectic. We didn't live on the base; we lived in the city. It was really interesting, and so I was there for 3 years. That included another tour to Afghanistan with the NATO unit. You can imagine how interesting that was. I didn't feel like I really contributed much to that deployment like I did my first one. And then from there, I wanted to really do my company command, which is a very big piece of a captain's career, before I decided if I was going to get out or stay. And my wife had always wanted to move back to New England, so I asked my branch manager, my HR rep, if there was anything in New England, and found a job in charge of recruiting for Southern Massachusetts. And so I found my way here, found a house in Attleboro, and just stayed after I got out.
Wow, that is incredible. So is your wife from here?
She's from Connecticut.
Connecticut, okay.
And the New York
So
side of Connecticut. I wouldn't even consider her New England.
the Yankees,
Yes,
Yankees
yeah.
side, okay.
7
all right.
exits from New York. Yeah.
I
So
see.
she's
I
a Red
see.
Sox fan, but she's unfortunately
Okay.
also a Giants fan.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll let it slide, I guess.
I will.
So Afghanistan, France, back to Afghanistan,
Yep.
and then back home.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. And this is incredible. Did you say you were one of 9 Americans as part of that group of
Yes,
450
one of 9
people?
Americans. Yep. Yep.
How were you what is the process? How did you become highly selected?
It was I think kind of coincidental a little bit. I was actually on my way. So being a logistics officer, you pretty much can go anywhere around the world for the military if you do logistics, because they always need, transportation, supply chain management, et cetera. And they have one of their major ports that we own a section of the port in Rotterdam, Netherlands, to bring stuff in and ship it around Europe. And I thought that was really interesting. And so I had actually been on orders to go there, and through some bad, HR management somewhere in the Army, they either lost my paperwork, gave it to somebody else who was more connected than I was. And so I called my branch manager and just said, listen, we're going to be having a baby. It was pretty much guaranteed after losing that I was going to go to Iraq for 15 months. And I just said, listen, I've been on orders. I agreed to stay, to get this job in the Netherlands. And she said, hey, we've got these 2 interesting opportunities. One of them is a NATO base in Poland. One of them is a NATO base in France. And so I looked at that and said, well, let's go. I'm in for it. I'd always wanted to live in Europe, and this was it was the perfect opportunity. And that led to, what Burgundian is now is based off of my time living there. And just, I traveled all over Europe while I was there. And it just, that interplay of food and community and culture and the history of food that comes through. It's just, it was so incredible. And so everything that Burgundian is now was because of that time in France.
Excellent. I was going to ask you what the inspiration behind Burgundian was, and you just nailed that.
Just
thank
jumped
you for
right
sharing
into
that.
it.
No, I appreciate that. So besides the United States of America, what is your favorite country?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I would say for the culture, the food, the just the beauty, the history would be France.
Okay.
Germany is a close second. For the people, I would probably say Peru or maybe Colombia.
Cool.
I feel very connected when I go to South America. They're just so welcoming and ready to bring you in as part of their own. It's a lot harder to really connect with the cultures in Europe, even if you speak the language. They're just a lot more standoffish or closed to foreigners and becoming friends. Where you go to South America and it's like, you're part of the
Your
group.
family.
Yeah.
Sure. Good stuff. So you mentioned Germany. I was actually born on a U.S. Air Force base in Bitburg, Germany back in 1984. My father served 10 plus years. And when you and I were speaking ahead of our interview, when I told you that, you actually told me that two of your daughters were born overseas. Where were they born?
Yeah, so they were born overseas, but there was no U.S. base. We were at a NATO base in town, and so
Gotcha.
they were born at a French hospital.
Wow.
They spoke French. I think one of the really cool things that ended up happening when we got there, there were three other people that had two that had babies, and one of them that was just about to have a baby while we were there.
Okay.
And they found this doctor, Dr. Philip Deruel, who was a very well-known doctor. He was in charge of all the high-risk pregnancies, but he had studied in Colorado for a couple of years, and so he spoke very good English. And he took us four Americans on as sort of his special American group, and so we were able
Wow.
to manage the entire pregnancy and delivery and everything with him through the entire process. But
Wow.
yeah, we had the kids, and two of our three daughters were born in the French hospital there.
Wow. That's what I was going to ask next. So you have three daughters.
Three daughters, yes, girl
How
bad
old are they
to
now?
the max. My oldest turned 16. She's a sophomore
Okay.
in high school. My middle daughter's 14, and she's an eighth grader. And then my youngest daughter, she's 10, and she's in fifth grade. And they're all
Wow.
in that little Attleboro enclave of the high school and Brennan Middle School.
Well, thank you to you and your wife and your daughters for, again, all of your service to our great
Yeah,
country.
same
I
to you and your
appreciate it,
family.
Shane.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. So let's get back to Burgundian now. So it's not just the cafe, the restaurant in town. You mentioned the food truck, a double-decker bus. What's that all
Double-decker
about?
bus. Yeah, that's still sitting in England. We're working on that's a long story that we could do a whole podcast on the frustration and nightmare of that thing. But essentially, I put a bunch of my savings. I did a Kickstarter for about a quarter of the price of the build out, and then took a loan for the remainder, and we did the build out in England to convert a British double-decker bus into a two-story cafe. And
Oh,
so
that's
it's
awesome.
pretty much done. And then and it took them forever. They kept giving me these, hey, it's almost done, and then found out nothing was done or very little was done. They used COVID as an excuse to not
Mhm.
really work on the bus for 2 years, and then finally, kind of pushed to get it done. And then they said, oh well, you actually owe us more money, and so all said and done, it's going to take some extra funds and stuff to get it finished out with them, get on a boat in Liverpool, and then get it cleared through customs and everything. So that's one of the
Wow.
things I'm actively working on right now is those funding. But yeah, we do have that piece. So 2025, I expect that to finally be here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, what a project that has turned out to be. Where is that going to be sitting and parked? Or is it going to be moving all around?
It's going to be moving all around right now,
Awesome.
but we're looking for right now for a more permanent place to sit it and maybe just unhook it. So I've got a few different places. I would say my target would be somewhere closer to downtown Providence. I think it's a very iconic thing that would fit in a
Yeah.
downtown with a lot of college kids, and
Yeah.
they would want to sit on top of a two-story bus. The tables that they have are from an old church that's older than our country. I mean, it's a really cool thing. I
Wow.
can't wait to get it over here.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So not just the restaurant, catering too?
Yeah, we do a lot of catering. We used to do a lot more breweries. We have to kind of limit what we can do right now because our kitchen can only sustain so much on top of just running the restaurant. But we do a number of caterings, birthday parties. We do weddings. We did a wedding just a few weeks ago. I mean, we'll go to different events. We go to Newport Folk Fest and Jazz Fest, and we'll set up and sell waffles. We go to the German clubs in Pawtucket and Walpole, and then at every event that they have. And yeah, and it's a great add to the business. So we're hoping as we grow, we can find enough kitchen space somewhere else to really grow that out.
That's awesome. So, all right, I want to talk about your menu now. So, your website mentions, quote, sharing the world when it comes to the menu. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I've traveled to 40 countries, and
Wow.
like I said, I love how the food really is an indicator of the culture and the history of that culture, right? So Peruvian cuisine is a perfect example, where you have this melting pot of the indigenous, the Incan people, the Quechuas, and so that there's so many potatoes and everything that are grown, over 4,000 varieties, I believe, in the country, and
Wow.
and you have the Spanish and the European influence that came over there. But then there's a really a significant amount of Chinese and Japanese people that also came into Peru. And so it's this melting pot. So when you look at Peruvian ceviche and the way that they do it, it's very, you see a lot of hints of sashimi and sushi and that, like that type of fresh fish with the ceviche and how they flavor everything. And you see a lot of, a lot of pork and things coming from Europe. And you see, they have this thing called a chowfa bowl, and it's like the Chinese, their version of a Chinese fried rice bowl, but it's very different. And the history that goes into that, I love that. And so my goal for the restaurant has been to share the world in through food and drink. It's to provide different beverages or different food items that people might not necessarily know, to allow them to take a step outside of their comfort zone and travel a little bit just by coming into Burgundian.
Wow, I love that. All of the thought and just the passion and just your take. I feel like you are a big sponge when you go to these places, and you've brought it all back to Attleboro at Burgundian. That's pretty cool, Shane.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I love to travel, and I love to share those things with people. And so that's really it, is me just kind of welcoming people, saying, come share some of these experiences that I've had, and I want to bring them to people. I want them to just in general in life. Sometimes we sit in these little corners of our world, and we don't try anything, and it just there's so much joy in life if you step outside of your comfort zone and you visit somewhere, you try something new, you attempt a different language, you meet somebody with whom you disagree with on different things. It's a very freeing thing. And so just I'm trying to encourage that in just a little way through food and drink.
I love it. So what are some of the more popular items on your menu?
Well, so we started off with our Liège waffle. That's what we're known for, because that's whenever I started the business, that's what we did, right? It's the street food waffle of Belgium. So what it is, it's a yeasted risen dough ball. It's not a liquid batter waffle like we all grew up with. It's a very brioche. Sometimes I say it's as if a brioche donut and a fried dough had a love child and was stuffed in a waffle iron. They have these little pearl sugars that caramelize on the outside of it. It's life changing. I loved it. I would eat it every Sunday at the farmers market in France. And so bringing that's our most popular item. Certainly the fried chicken and waffles is very significant. Everybody loves that. For our dinner menu, we have one of our major ones. It's sort of a Peruvian steak and fries plate, but it's called a lomo saltado. So we do a Peruvian seasoned steak with a rice and fries. And it's got some red peppers and onions, and that's we've got a side of chimichurri and a ají amarillo sauce, and that's a great one. People love that one. In Mexico there's a sandwich called a semita poblana, and they use sort of like a Milanese style chicken cutlet, where it's pounded down and panko breadcrumbs. But we do our fried chicken on it, but it's got avocados and pickled red onions, and we put that queso fresco with the fried chicken on a bun. It's a really, really good sandwich. We have a Argentinian chorizo dog. It's sort of the Argentinians version of peppers and onions and sausage dog you'll get at Fenway. If you go to a soccer game in Buenos Aires, you'll get a choripan down there. It's just chorizo and chimichurri and sometimes tomato and onion curtido, stuff like that. And so that's what we do. It's a bunch of different items like that you'll find. And
the sharing the world on the menu makes total sense now after you just talking about all that. And also I'm starving now, so thank you, Shane.
You're welcome.
So if I take so if I take my wife to Burgundian and we get a dinner, 2 dinners, 2 drinks, 2 beers, how much are we looking at on average?
Right now, you're probably looking at, average meal is going to be about $18 per person. And then,
Amazing.
If you get a beer, most of our beers hover around $8.50. And
awesome.
and again, even just with our beers or our cocktails or wine, we've got a full bar, we've got 24 taps, and we get really into beers from around the world as well. So we dedicate 4 to 6 maximum IPA lines. You go to a lot of bars and it's just IPAs as far as the eye can see. We have a lot of German and Czech beers. We have Belgian beers. We have beers from the UK. So you can always find something different and unique at Burgundian. We always have Weinstefana Hefeweizen, which is the oldest brewery in the world. They're going to turn 1,000 in 16 years. We've always have St. Bernardus out of Belgium. They've been around for a couple hundred years. So we always have those on tap. And like I said, we do beer dinners. We do once a month we do German nights, or the next 8 weeks, actually, on Wednesday nights, we're going to be doing a sort of European après ski night. So,
Oh, cool.
encourage people to dress up like they just got off the slopes. We're going to have a
Nice.
little ticket that you can grab and punch the holes based on which one you or how many you go to. If you get to all 8 of them, you get $100 gift card. If you go to 6, you get a $25 gift card at the end of the time. And we're going to, fondue and raclette and, mulled wine and German coffee that, you have the alcohol, you light it on fire, and hot
Oh,
toddies,
wow.
and, just kind of have that fun atmospheric, like, hey, I'm coming off the Alps, and even though we're in downtown Attleboro.
That's great. So you kind of probably just answered this, but why do you think Burgundian is so popular here in downtown Attleboro?
Yeah, I think it's something different. There's obviously people in Attleboro that kind of have a hard time buying in, or they don't love the concept. Sometimes people are very linear, and they're, if you go to a restaurant, I want to go in, see a hostess, sit down at a booth, not engage with other people, have, some similar meals, and then get my check and go home. And that's fine. That's a pretty classic restaurant experience. But what we do for those that want something different, that want to connect with other people, that want that community vibe, it really hits home. And I think what we do different is we do provide that third place where people have their coffee shop and their bar and their place that they can go meet their friends and do karaoke or do trivia, but just feel like they belong. I think a lot of people really take Burgundian, that fall in love with it, take it as almost part of theirs. And one of my favorite things is seeing some of our regulars bring their family in from out of town and bring their friends in and want to show off Burgundian, and want to bring them in. And I would say one of the things that I really really love hearing, that I heard recently, is that there's a family that comes in, family, and then some of their surrounding friends, and they've started to come in quite a bit this last year and a half. And there's an older, dad in his 50s, and his boys are in their 20s, and they've started hanging out and drinking together, and drinking beer, and their friends are around. But I guess they kind of had some lost contact and things for a while, and the dad said, thank you for bringing my family together again. And
Oh,
one of the sons said, we loved watching How I Met Your Mother, and whenever we watched that show, we just said, I wish we had a bar where we just went all the time, and all of our things happened. And they said, you've provided that for us. You've given us a place where we know we can go drink beer, be with our friends, have our table, and just enjoy the night. And to me, that is so significant for what I've tried to do, and that people have caught on.
I mean, if that doesn't make all of your work worth it, come
Right.
on. That's beautiful, Shane. So you just touch on this a little bit, but it's not just the food that Burgundian's known for, or the beer. It's also all of the events and community
Mhm.
gatherings. So can you please tell us about some of those?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, I mean, I really think community, a place to belong, is our greatest strength, our greatest product outside of anything else that we serve. Obviously, we have great coffee. Obviously, we have great beer, wine, cocktails, and food, and people come. If they weren't good, people would stop coming. But the main thing that people come in for is the community, and place of belonging. And so we're always trying to do, fun, different stuff as well, to keep people coming in for unique and fun events. That's the one thing that Amazon, whoever else, they can't touch. They can do everything else. They can provide food. We can have home food deliveries, but they cannot touch connection, conviviality, community. They can't provide that. That's the one thing, the differentiator that we can provide. And so we're always looking at fun things to do. Like I said, we do karaoke every Friday, and it truly is the best karaoke around. And I know there's
Nice.
there's karaoke's, but this one, I mean, everybody gets into it. Everybody sings with each other. Half the time, people are standing up dancing to the
Love it.
music. It's just a really encouraging, fun environment. Lifelong friends have been made just meeting each other at karaoke. We do trivia Thursdays. We also do themed trivias once a month. So we have
Wow.
Game of Thrones coming up next Tuesday. We have, like I said, we do a Mario Kart night once a month for those that want to come and do Mario Kart on the big screen. We're doing a 90s night. There's this influencer in the area. He lives in Attleboro. His name is Kyle, and he's Millennial Kyle. He's got
Okay.
350,000 followers.
Nice.
And so we're going to do a 90s night, get a DJ, do things like that. I said we have a beer dinner once a month. We have Oktoberfest and Winter Market. We've got the outdoor beer garden. So this summer we're going to be doing a tiki bar outside. And, just also, I'm sure I could keep going down,
Sure.
Yeah, we've got 80s night, like I said, the après ski nights, doing that. Saturday, we're going to start doing some speakeasy Saturdays, trying to get a Saturday night speakeasy vibe from,
Love
8
it.
or 9 to midnight. And just things like that. On Sundays, we just do a brunch 8 to 3.
Okay.
And then we close down. So we're not open Sunday and Monday nights. And then,
Okay.
Tuesday is kind of our free for all, like I said, the ticketed dinner, or we'll do theme trivia or Mario Kart, different things. And then Wednesday night, during the summer, we do a German nights every Wednesday. And once a month, we bring in a German brewery or a U.S. brewery that is based, their main thing is German and Czech style beer. And we'll do
Awesome.
German food. And so, but like I said, we're doing après ski these Wednesdays. And
That's so cool.
yeah.
So you've touched on it so much for us. So is there anything else, Shane, that you'd like the people of Attleboro to know about Burgundian?
Just so one of the things we are doing, we're going to kind of expand a little bit of our offerings for dinner. Make sure we have a little bit. One of our priorities this year is to kind of get a little bit more, creative in the healthier space. We're doing a lot of mocktails, but we're going to be adding, a ramen bowl, like a couple different, fun noodle bowls and like rice, bibimbap or a Moroccan couscous bowl. Get into, a couple different, more healthier appetizers and some more unique salads as well. So just kind of driving that. So, it's just, really in Attleboro, just we want you to come and hang out and be part of it. I know it's sometimes awkward with the expectation of I would just want a waiter and waitress. That's not what we do. We do it like it's been done for hundreds of years up until the last 60, where, you come up, you order at the bar, we bring everything to the table, and we just want you to come and hang out and be part of the community. It's important for us and for the people outside of Attleboro. We're hopefully going to be expanding in 2025 to a second location. So
Amazing. Good stuff, Shane. Every March Madness, I have 7 of my best friends come over Thursday through Sunday for opening weekend. We go to Bliss on Friday mornings for breakfast. This year, we're coming to Burgundian on Sunday morning, so we'll be there for the brunch.
Nice.
Shane Matlock, owner of Burgundian, thank you for sharing your story. Again, thank you for your service to our country, and thank you for providing something different in downtown Attleboro. I really appreciate you being a guest on the Life in Attleboro podcast.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's a lot of fun. I love the concept that you're doing this. It's a great town, a lot of just wonderful people that have been here forever or that are moving into the city, and it really is a great place to be, and it's so like prime set for people from all over to be here. It's a great diverse community, and I'm happy that they accepted this Idaho kid into their community.
All right, well, amen to all of that. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
What a great man, running a great restaurant and cafe right here in Attleboro. And I can't wait to see what that double-decker bus looks like. Hey, I want to tell you about our new sponsor, Hoban Accounting Services. If you're a small business owner, you know how much of a hassle it can be to keep track of every penny earned and every penny spent. But thankfully, Hoban Accounting Services is on a mission to heal your headaches and fizzle your frustration when it comes to crunching those pesky numbers. Hoban Accounting Services has helped local businesses for more than 7 years. That's when Nicole Hoban, a proud mother of twin girls, launched her business. She's a QuickBooks Pro Advisor with tons of awards to her name. If you mention the Life in Attleboro podcast, you'll get 10% off for your first 6 months. If you'd like to support a small business owner in our city, just tap the link in the show notes of this episode and Nicole will be in touch. Hoban Accounting Services. A great bookkeeper should be an asset, not an expense. Have you signed up for the Life in Attleboro email list? More than 850 people have. If not, you're missing out on exclusive benefits, including early access to every new podcast episode, special savings at Attleboro restaurants and businesses, behind-the-scenes videos and insight, and you'll stay in the know about cool events in our great city. Just go to lifeinattleboro.com, and you'll see the sign-up display right there on the homepage. And if you know someone who would make a great guest on our podcast, please shoot us an email at lifeinattleboro@gmail.com. That's it for today. Life in Attleboro is a great thing. Support our community, promote positivity, and make a stranger smile. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Life in Attleboro podcast.